Welcome back to Cure for the Common Game. Today we're going to go back to Jumpstart for deck number 728. Kels the Fight Fixer. We have an Azura Warlock for 4 mana, 4/3 menace, so, not bad stats. Whenever you sacrifice a creature, you can pay a Dimir hybrid. If you do, you draw a card. And then, if that's not enough, we get our own sacrifice outlet. Now, it's not free. We got to spend a mana, sack a creature, to make Kels indestructible till end of turn. So we're black-blue color identity, and we want to sacrifice as many creatures as possible, right? Because it just feeds into the engine. Now, yes, there is no Grave Pact or Dictate of Erebos. If you got them, run them. But I didn't have them, and to be honest with you, I may not have run them even if I had them. Just for something different, So let's get into it. Still need mana to play things, and we are in 2 colors, so we have our Soul Ring. We're going to roll through the mana rocks pretty quick. Guardian Idol, Dimir Signet, Key Rune, Locket, the Mistvein Border Post, because we do have more basic lands than not, Talisman of Dominance, Sky Diamond, Scuttlemutt, Mannequin, because Mannequin and the others, Scuttlemutt included, they are creatures that we can sacrifice when we don't need them. That was the logic behind that. And then Culling of the Week, because it's a super dark ritual that lets you sacrifice a creature. That's right. In this deck, it lets you. You don't have to. This is what we're trying to do. We're trying to. And besides, there aren't that many cards with mana source on them, right? So, let's look at our creatures that we have. We're looking for things like Bloodbaron. Free sacrifice outlets for other creatures. This in and of itself is a creature that can be sacrificed. So my idea was to proc that ability as many times as possible, right? So Lord of the Pit's just going to eat a creature return, so that's a sacrifice. Pawn of Ulamog. Now, Pawn of Ulamog is beautiful because when it or another non-token creature you control is put into a graveyard, you get an Eldrazi spawn creature that has its built-in sacrifice outlet of effect. So the pawn is a perfect card for the deck. Gravedigger, because we are sacrificing, there's a ton of stuff that to get things back from the yard, the Phyrexian Reclamation, a lot of other things so the Gravedigger is a good, it gets something else back and it gives you a body to sacrifice. Thalicos Deceiver. You can sack it, gain control of target creature permanently. I love the way they used to use permanently. Scourge of Neltoth. You can play it from the graveyard for 2 mana and sacking 2 creatures, thus getting that trigger. And, you get a 6/6 flying dragon for your trouble. Archfiend of Depravity. Yeah. Just a great card. Revenant, things are going to be in the graveyard. They are going to die. Revenant's going to be pretty big. Archfiend's Vessel. If it entered from your graveyard or if you cast it from your graveyard, you get a 5/5 demon token. So, how are we going to, get it from our graveyard? Well, we'll get to that. Probably stuff like Victimize or Gruesome Menagerie. Things like that. Bloodthrone Vampire, another good outlet. Body Double. It's it's a clone, right? For a creature in a graveyard. So that's what's beautiful about that. Grave Walker. Return target creature card from your graveyard into the battlefield tapped. 7 mana is a lot to activate, but That's big game. Reusing those creatures over and over. Especially if those creatures have to be like Solemn or Bone Shredder, Mole Drifter. You get the... Yeah. Now, Viscera Seer, another good sacrifice outlet. Night Howler. Creature cards in all graveyards, so that's pretty sweet right there. Bone Picker. Now, I had Bone Picker played against me. Yeah, this deck was played. Was that Chris playing this one too? I can't remember. If a creature died this turn, it's a 1-mana spell, Flying Death Touch. Because this was so good on the board at the time, another player cloned it. I know Talran shouldn't be in here. It's not like... I mean, we've only got one counterspell in the deck, and that's a negate. But there are other instant sorceries in the deck. I mean, quite a few of them, to be honest with you. But Reassembling Skeleton, it just pops back up by itself, just 2 mana. Demon's Disciple's a heck of a card. Everybody sacrifices. We're going to sacrifice this thing. Discordant Piper. 0/1 Goat. Cauldron Familiar. Yeah. If the Cauldron... if the kitty cat's in there, we've got the oven too. Ginger Brute. Sack outlet. Scuttling Doom Engine. This is just a good card. When it dies, it deals 6 damage to target opponent. I love Scuttling Doom Engine. Blood Pet. You can put a black mana on layaway. You spend a black to put it out there, and then you can sack it anytime later. It's kind of like a one-use. If you're lucky enough to get it on turn 1, you can swamp Blood Pet, and then turn 2 land, and you have 3 mana that one turn. Yeah. Shriek Maw. I love the Stronghold Assassin for this deck because you get to sacrifice one of your creatures, proccing the trigger, and then destroying target non-black creature. Now, it's not as good with the whole non-black word, but Malevolent Noble. You can sack creatures, put counters on. Vermin Gorger. Not falling flat. Sacking a creature. Necro Savant. Yeah. Not only is it a sack outlet, but you can bring the Necro Savant back into play over and over again. Boneyard Mycodrax. Other creatures in your graveyard, Got a few things, like, I wanted creature producers, things that could make creatures that we sack, kind of like the pawn does. But Bastion of Remembrance, it does make a 1/1, but that line of whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 and you gain 1. Man, that's going to happen a bunch if our deck works. And then we have Orochi Hatchery, which is, why not? Let's make a bunch of snakes that we can sack every single turn. Village Rites, card draw with a sacrifice outlet, Sign and Blood, Foreboding Fruit. Maybe Songs of the Damned should have been in the mana section, but this can get out of hand quickly. I have seen, way back then, it's an Ice Age card, it's been around forever. I have seen Songs of the Damned produce, 10, 15 mana, and that's for 1 mana, that's big game. I put Jinxed Idol in. Is a sacrifice? No, it's not. It's funny. That's why I put it in. I like it. It's funny. And it encourages your opponents to sack stuff, too. 2 damage, not that bad, but it's kind of annoying. And, nobody wants to be jinxed. Reprocess. Yeah. And draw a card for each one sacked this way. So reprocess with Kels, and you can spin some. Yeah. Draw a ton of cards. Black Market. a creature dies. Doesn't have to be one of yours. Just a creature dies. And then you just get tons of black mana, you know. Teferi's Ageless Insight. That's really good. Because our commander's ability lets us draw a card. Argyll's Bloodfast. And then our Barter and Blood is our removal and Fade Away. The deck took up a ton of what. So, yes, I consider Fade Away removal. Here again, similar to Mana Tithe in the last deck, we play a format where people don't feel bad about tapping out. The mana taxing things aren't really prevalent. Nobody sees Mana Tithe coming. Nobody really sees Fade Away coming. Especially if, Fade Away's good even if everyone's not tapped out. If they just have more creatures and they've got mana, yeah. Or especially those, I was evil back in the day and I used to Fade Away with Stasis, so, yeah. But anyway, let's look at our non-basic lands, shall we? We have a Command Tower, Evolving Wilds, Dimir Guildgate, Ice Tunnel, Dismal Backwater, Temple of Deceit. You know that Rogue's Passage was in there, right? Thriving Isle, and more. Now, the Duskmantle House of Shadows is... We're probably milling ourselves. Yeah. Sunken Hollow, Darkwater Catacombs, and the Dimir Aqueduct. So that is Kels. Now, I know there are way more high-powered versions of Kels. Can't remember how the deck actually did. It's been almost a week ago. But that is what we have got for today. Hey, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Deck number 728 is done and on the wall. What is that? We will be going... What's the next deck? The next deck we are going back to MH2. We're going to do a Green Storm deck tomorrow. So y'all join me for that. But right now, I think we're going to go ahead and shuffle and cut.